ahead and get started. We are moving into our fall season. We're going to talk a little bit about how to generate business. I realized that I didn't put in any business planning, so stay tuned for that because we'll probably do a couple of special trainings in the month of October for business planning because we always like to plan in that October so we can roll out our new plan by like November-ish so that come January, we're having the closings that we anticipated based on our business plans. So just stay tuned for that. We'll have a that was good. A couple special trainings scheduled in the month of October for business planning. So pay attention. And then today we are diving into generating business, right? Increasing your sales through your database. And if you've watched any of my trainings, if you've been with me very long, you will know that I am all about the database. Okay. You're creating this business of like repeat and referral business should be your bread and butter, right? And your database is your starting point for that. So you should have a database system. Okay, I don't really care what your database system is. It makes no difference to me. Realty One Group has a fabulous one suite that is free. Okay, I like free starting out. If you decide down the road you want something more robust or more user-friendly, that's totally up to you. But one suite is fully sufficient for what you need to be doing in your database. You may be like, Amy, I don't like technology. How about a spreadsheet? Okay, my heart might sink a little bit. I might be a little bit sad. But if that's what you're going to use, I don't really care because the best database system is the one that you will use. So, your database, the goal is with a highly functioning database is that you should be getting at least a 10% conversion ratio. Okay. Or for every 10 leads in your database, you're going to get one transaction out of that. Okay. Let's hold on. Trying to get my slideshow to participate. So our learning objectives today is what's your database's potential, quality over quantity when it comes to contacts in our database. Then we're going to talk about how to break the mold a little bit and step up your game. In addition to that, we're going to talk about how to tag your database or how to segment it for success and how to create a COI or circle of influence system that's going to bring results. As always, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box. You can raise your little zoomy hand. If you're watching this on replay, feel free to throw your question in the comments. I love interaction, so never hesitate to just call out an answer to a question. Or if you have a question for me, just unmute yourself, interrupt me. That's totally appropriate as well. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Again, if you don't hear anything else from me today, you must have a database of your contacts. Okay, if you don't have that, that's going to be your number one priority is to get all of your contacts into a database. Okay, and as I said before, there is no right one. Pick the one that you are actually going to use. Okay, once we have all of our contacts, you're like, Amy, what do you mean by all of your contacts? I mean everybody that you think you might know. Okay, so you're going to pick up your phone and you're going to go into your contacts and you're going to take and put all your contacts into your database. You're going to go on the Facebook or Instagram and you're going to pick all of your friends and followers on your social media platforms. You're going to put those into your database. You're going to think about who you work with at another job now or who you worked with in the past. Add those people to your database. You know, if you've got kids, you get those like group text messages or group messages of like, or like on WhatsApp or whatever you might be using, Signal, whatever it might be, where you have access to all of your children's like sports teams contacts or whatever that might be. Add them to your database. Those people that you do business with, your doctor, your barber, your Pilates instructor, your, right, whoever it might be, add those people to your database. Okay. If you don't have all those people in your database right now, I would say yourself a goal of, hey, every day I'm going to add 10 more people to my database. That way you're not overwhelmed trying to do it all in one day. You can go in there, add 10 today, add the next 10 tomorrow, add 10 to the next day, right? By the end of the month, you're going to have a couple hundred people in your database. Okay, so that's the easiest and least overwhelming way to do it. You can sit down and just add them all in one day. Okay, the next step is to know what your conversion ratio is. Okay, if you've been in the business for at least a year, you can take the total number of transactions closed for the year and divide that total by the number of contacts in your database, assuming that they were in your database to begin with. That's going to be your conversion ratio. Okay, now we want to, so this is how an example of how this works. If you had 7 transactions in the past year with 500 contacts in your database, you would take 7, divide it by 500. That's going to give you 0.014. To get the conversion ratio, you then need to actually multiply it by 100, which are just move the decimal spot over 2 places, right? So that means that 0.014 becomes a 1.4% conversion ratio. Okay, if you're on the Zillow team and you answer a phone call and you go show them a property and you sell it to them, that's not actually part of your database, right? Now they might get put in your database, or you might have gotten a lead that came in through Zillow and you are making contact with them regularly. They don't convert right away, but they come back 6 minutes, or 6 minutes, that was good, 6 months or 8 months later, and then they purchase. Now that's a conversion from your database. Okay, so that's how you figure out what your current conversion ratio is. Does 1.4% seem like an acceptable number to anybody out there? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Yes, no?
Good.
Adriana, you said yes? You like that conversion ratio?
Oh, yes.
All right. I want you to aim for higher though. 1.4%. If you've got 500 people in your database, you should be getting way more than 7 transactions. So I would say we need to aim higher. Okay? Aim higher. Because if your goal for this year, or let's say your goal for next year is 20 transactions, you're going to need 1,428 contacts in your database to reach your goal, right? That feels a little bit more daunting. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure I know 1,400 people. Okay. And I'm not sure that I want to be in regular connection with 1,400 people to begin with. So even if I did know 1,400 people, there's probably people in there I'd rather not talk to. So the other option, right, is we can increase our conversion ratio by increasing the quality and being systematic about the interactions with our database. Okay, the book, the MREA. I don't know why it stuck to that other book, but that's all right. MREA. Oh, it's not going to work. Let's pull it back. There we go. MREA. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. This is a fabulous book. If you don't have it, buy the book. I actually have I don't know, the special model. It's got tabbies for each section, so it makes it really easy to go in there and find what's the budget model, what's the database model, right? So per the MREA, we should have a conversion ratio in our database of 1 in 12 or 8%, which means that for every 12 people in your database, you should get 1 transaction this year. Now they have increased that. This is the old stats. They're working on new stats. The new stat is closer to 1 in 10. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. So our goal is for every 12 people or every 10 people in our database, we're going to get a transaction. That would mean that if your goal for this year is 20 transactions, hold on. We're going to skip that. All right. So if we did become more systematic in our interactions, we increased the quality of our interactions with our database, we could move that conversion ratio from 1.4% up. Okay, so remember the MREA says that we should be at least at 8%. New numbers say closer to 10, but let's be conservative with that. And let's say that we just increase our conversion ratio from 1.4% to 4%. Okay, At 4%, we could reach a goal of 20 transactions with only those 500 contacts that we had in our database instead of 1,400. So that sounds a lot more fun to me, less interactions with people because now I only have to be in interactions with 500 people. Okay, so that's how that works. We can increase the number in our contacts and keep cruddy interactions with them, or we can increase the quality and the systematic way at which we interact with those people in our database to increase that conversion ratio. Okay. Um, let's see here. You're ideally for a database, which is why I said my heart sinks a little bit if you say you've got a spreadsheet, is because ideally you'd like something that you can automate. Okay, some sort of database system at the basics is going to allow you to like send emails and set reminders or tasks. Okay, the next level up would be that you can send text messages directly from that database, or that you can track their activity, like their how many emails they opened, if they responded, if they clicked on properties, right? So that would be ideal, but starting, like, as long as you have something that you can track your tasks and that you can maybe send out some emails like a newsletter, that was be kind of where I would say is your ideal starting spot. All right. When inputting contacts into your database, you want to define what information you want to have for each person in your database, right? What are your must-haves and what would be bonus items? Okay. For instance, your must-haves might be something like their name, phone number, email, and their physical or their mailing address, right? 4 pieces of information, not that complicated. Because if part of your interactions are going to be mailers or emails or phone calls, it's hard to do those interactions without the above information. Now, that being said, I would not put somebody in my database because I didn't have that information from them. I would just use that as my springboard to make sure I try to fill in those gaps. Okay, so some examples. So those kind of is what I would probably clarify, at least in my database, is must-haves. There's some bonus items that you could have, right? So what else do you want to collect from people? Things like maybe their birthday, maybe their animals, what kind of animals they have and what their animals' names are. Because, people think their animals are like children. On that same aspect, maybe you want their children's names and ages or their children's birthdays. You may want their wedding anniversary if they're married. You may want their home anniversary if they own a home, right? In this area, what you want to think of as far as bonus items is relationship, right? What information are you going to have in that database that's going to help you build relationship with your contacts? Okay, that's your goal, build relationships. Okay, once we've inputted, we've identified what information we want in our database, we're going to get those people in there, and then we need to identify missing information, right? Maybe you've got people in there that are missing addresses, whether it's a physical address or a mailing address. Maybe you have people without a phone number or people without an email, right? Not uncommon, especially if we've pulled people over from our social media. We might have their names and their social media information, but we may not have a way to contact them outside of direct messaging through social media. So we want to make sure that we identify which contacts are missing the must-haves or which ones might be missing bonus items, right? One way to do that is to tag your database. Okay, most databases, including OneSuite, allow you to tag those contacts in there. And that's one of the best and easiest ways to identify, sort, and locate contacts with missing information. So we might have like a no email tag or a no address tag or no mailing tag, right? So we might have those tags out there so we can just, as we create those contacts in our database or we go through and sort through our database, we can update those with those tags, which makes it really easy if I decide, gosh, every Tuesday is going to be my fill in missing birthdays list or day. I'm going to work through my database to do that. Or maybe it's, hey, the month of September is going to be fill in missing birthdays. I can just go to my database, sort the tags that say no birthday. And those are my people I'm going to contact that month to try to fill in their birthday to let them know that I want to send them something special on their birthday, right? Now we're not just like calling people and be like, hey, can I have a phone number for you? Right? We already called them anyways. But it'd be like, hey, I realize I don't know when your birthday is. When's your birthday? Because I'd like to be able to send you something special on your birthday. Right now, if we're going to say we're going to send them something special on the birthday, you probably should send them something special on the birthday. But it could be a text message, it could be a birthday card, it could be a birthday email. There's so many options in there that you can do. But we want to be able to sort and locate those contacts with missing information so that we can fill that in. Any questions so far? All right. So now that we've covered the potential in your database, making sure all your contacts are in your database and put some thought into what information you want for each contact, we can start focusing on those systematic interactions with contacts in your database. This is where that quality over quantity comes into play. Okay, it doesn't matter how many people you have in your database if you aren't connecting with them on a regular basis. So as we begin contacting our database, we need to do a few things. Number one is we need to figure out who's missing from our database, right? Who isn't there that should be? Did you miss getting some people into your database? As you go through your day, as you have interactions with people, you need to be like, right? You go to the coffee shop and you run into Joe and you're like, oh my gosh, Joe, how's it going? And then you realize, I don't have Joe in my database, right? Add Joe to your database. When you go to the chiropractor to get adjusted, you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't put my chiropractor in my database. Put them in your database, right? Think about who's missing from your database. You also want to make sure you look through any past sales that you have, right? Make sure they're added into that database as well, right? And we already talked about this. Make sure everybody that's in your phone is in there, friends with on social media, people you've done business with, people you know from past jobs, kids' activities, community activities, all of those things. Okay, now as we go through our database as well, we want to eliminate people that do not have good contact information. Okay, there's a couple of options here. If somebody doesn't have any contact information, we just have a name for them and they somehow got in your database, you may just want to delete them. Okay, if it's somebody that you had their contact information, maybe you had a phone number for them, and now that phone number, when you call it, says the phone number is no longer in service, you may want to either delete them from your database or just tag them as like bad contact. Okay, or we could go back and tag them with like no phone or whatnot. If you're deleting people from your database, you may want to keep like a spreadsheet or a record of who's been deleted, just so you know what you had and what got deleted, just so in case something happens, they come back from the dead, we don't lose that contact altogether. Oftentimes, what we're going to talk about too is like when we make these connections with people in our database, we want to be taking notes about what happened during that connection. So if you've got somebody you connected with and you've had several phone calls, maybe conversations, and they fell off the face of the earth, and you go back to call them again, and their phone number is now disconnected, you may not want to delete all that past information, because just because you don't have their new phone number doesn't mean they don't have your phone number. They may choose to reach back out to you in the future, and you may want to have that history on them. So again, tagging them as like bad contact information may be your best bet instead of deleting them altogether. Right, if we don't have any reason to or any way to connect with them, we probably don't want to keep them in our database, or we don't want to keep them in our active numbers, right? So if our goal is that 4% return with 500 people in our database, and yet 100 of those people have no contact information, that doesn't really count towards our 500. So remember, in order to get that conversion ratio, we want to make sure that they're in our database and that we have a way to connect with them, because we want to be connecting with them on a regular basis. All right, once we sort out those bad apples, the next step is going to be to contact everyone in your database, okay? And usually when I say that, what happens is it creates a whole bunch of anxiety in people of like, well, Amy, you said put everybody in there from my phone and social media, but some of those people I haven't talked to in years. Like, I can't even remember. Like, there's probably some people that I've never actually called, right? And you're like, oh, the anxiety is coming up. right? There's probably only a handful of contacts that you talk with on a regular basis. Unless you're just stellar and you've been doing and working your database like you should be, then this didn't create anxiety when I said that. But for those that created anxiety, we want to start with the ones you don't regularly connect with. Okay, because actual human to human conversations is going to help win their business, whether it's now or in the future. So, here in a moment, I'll show you a really simple script that you can use. Okay, and as we begin to connect with people, we want to systematize the process. So, remember, when we systematize things, it makes it easy to follow and easy to duplicate and easy to have a system with to move forward with in the future. So we'll talk about some of the systems that you should implement or might want to implement for that regular connection. So here's a simple script to use that can connect with those you haven't connected with recently, right? Hey, this is Amy. I'm a real estate agent, right? We spoke back in 2010 and lost touch. What's your real estate plan for 2025? Right? Or what's your real estate plan for the next 12 months? Right? And you can tweak it a little bit to fit you better, but this would be like mainly for like old leads. Like maybe you hosted an open house or 20 and you have a stack of papers sitting under your desk like I did of open house leads, like hundreds and hundreds of leads, right? Get those people in your database. This is a great way to connect with those people. You have old Zillow leads that you haven't made contact with in a while. Start reaching out to those. Hey, we talked back in, or you reached out last year or 2 years ago, and I lost touch. What's your real estate plan for the next 12 months? It's not, hey, are you going to buy a house? Or hey, are you going to sell a house? It's just, hey, what's your plan, right? Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in 2025 or in 2026? Okay. Now, if you have people in your database that are like friends and family that you just haven't been in contact with, we may just want to open that conversation with, hey, it's Amy. I'm so sorry that I haven't connected with you sooner. I just wanted to check in with you and see how life was, right? We just want to make connection with those people. We may not even ask them on that first phone call what their real estate plan is for the next year. We may just want to ask them how they're doing, get caught up, make some notes, call them again on our plan when their name comes up again. And then at that point, we can ask them what their plan is for the next year. Okay. Once we make contact with them, I promise this becomes a lot less awkward because now we're plugging them into our regular interaction system. They're going to get used to hearing from you. Any questions before we move forward?
No.
All right. Fabulous. All right. In addition to weeding out your bad apples, you're going to want to tag your database in order to easily sort through those contacts in your database. So remember, we talked about tagging first those contacts with missing information. People can have more than one tags. Okay. Some other reasons that we want to tag is, and we're going to dig deeper into each of these, but maybe we want to make sure we tag our VIP or our COI, which are our cheerleaders and our circle of influence, those people who actually know us and respond to us. In addition to your VIP and COI, you're going to want to tag old leads with some sort of like hot, nurture, and watch, or some version of that, right? Who do you think is purchasing in the next few months? Who do you think is purchasing in the next year? And who's more than a year out? Okay. And then we want to make sure to tag or set reminders for your quarterly call plan. Our goal with our database is we're going to call every person in our database once a quarter or once every 3 months. So we want to tag them so that we know when we're supposed to be in contact with them. And you may also want to tag them with like captured versus connected. Okay. Where the contact came from, right? Where that lead came from, what group do they belong to, and what their intent is. So let's dive a little bit further into each of these items. So you're going to want to identify your VIPs in your database. Those are going to be your past clients, right? Both buyers and sellers, as well as people that may have referred other people to you. Okay, right? Someone might be in your VIP group that has referred someone to you without being a client themselves. They don't have to do business with you to refer people to you. These people are your cheerleaders. Your VIP people are those people that when they are talking to somebody and somebody starts talking about real estate, they're like, you need to talk with Jake. He's fabulous, right? Your cheerleaders are in your VIP group. Okay, in addition to that, we want to tag and identify your circle of influence. Those people, again, that you already have relationship with, people who know who you are. If you send them a text message, they respond to you. If you call them, they generally answer or will call you back. Those two groups of people, your VIP and your circle of influence, are going to get the most of your energy and attention. Okay, they're going to get the most interactions throughout the year once you begin rolling out your systematic contacts in your database. Okay, so in addition to tagging those COI and VIP contacts, you want to tag your contacts that have expressed a desire to buy or sell real estate with some version of hot, nurture, watch. It could be like A, B, C. It could be gold, silver, bronze, right? It could be something like that. Whatever that is, we want to tag them. So if we're having conversations with people and they're like, yeah, actually, we were thinking about in the next couple months we want to buy, or maybe they're already pre-approved, those are going to be your hot leads, right? Those people that are ready to go. Your nurture leads are going to be those that are like, oh, right. So usually hot is like 60 days or less. They're like in the process of getting pre-approved. They're pre-approved. They've scheduled a buyer appointment with you, or they've scheduled a listing consultation with you, right? Those are going to be your hot leads. Nurturers are going to be somebody who's like 60 days to maybe 6 months out, maybe even 12 months out. They've expressed like, hey, yeah, sometime this year we probably want to buy. We're not exactly sure when. We're not exactly sure what that looks like. We want to have them on that nurture block, which means that we're going to be interacting with them and giving them details to help them make the choice to move forward. And then we might have those people on that watch list that are like, yeah, sometimes we were talking about moving out of state, but probably once our kids graduate high school and they're juniors this year, right? So somebody that's beyond, they aren't really sure what they want to do. They've talked about it. They're maybe more than a year out. We want to label those as watch. Okay. And again, it could be like A, B, or C, or 1, 2, 3, or however you want to tag it, but some other version. Okay. Um, your hot leads, those you're going to want to be in contact with those clients on a weekly basis. That's why we tag them hot, is so that we can go into our database, we can sort those hot leads, and we can make sure that we've got properties going to them. We can make sure we're looking at the properties that have matched. We're scheduling showing appointments. We're updating them on what, where they're at with getting their house ready to list, whatever that might be. We're going to be in contact with them on a weekly basis. Those nurture people that we talked about, right? We want to be in contact with those clients on a bi-weekly basis, or at least a couple times per month. We want to be touching base with them because when they decide that they're ready to launch into that home buying or selling process, we want to make sure that they remember who we are and that we're making contact with them. And then those that we tagged watch, okay, those are the people that probably aren't going to transact this year, but they've talked about maybe doing something. We're going to make sure that we're interacting with them monthly in addition to our regular interactions, which we'll get to here in a little bit. That way, if something changes and they're ready to move forward sooner, we're already making contact and reminding them on a regular basis that we're here, we're ready to help them with their real estate needs. Okay, and not all these interactions have to be on the phone. They might be text messages, they might be emails, they might be phone, right? There could be lots of ways that we interact with these people. We just want to make sure that we're making that contact with them on a regular basis. And by having them tagged that way, it makes it really easy to sort our database so that we know who we're looking for. All right. Also, don't forget to move these tags as people move through the process. So maybe somebody moves from like nurture to hot. They're now pre-approved. We want to make sure to update that tag. Okay. And then once they've completed their transaction, we may need to remove that tag altogether. All right. The next one, we have our quarterly call plan. we want to make it easy to open our database and know exactly who we're supposed to call today or this week or this month. The more specific, the better. There's lots of different ways to interact with people. So one is like a DTD2 system, which is do the database to. That system breaks the phone numbers. If you Google it, you'll find the breakdown of alphabetical letters. But what it does is it says that, hey, there's as many people with the last name that starts with A and W as there are with B and E. Okay, so it groups the letters by statistically last names and what they begin with and how many last names fall into each letter category so that it spreads it out equally over the course of each quarter or 13 weeks. Okay. So that one is there. You could do that one. You might just label it weeks 1 through 13, knowing that there are 13 weeks in each quarter, right? It could be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, so that we know that, hey, if this is week 1 of the quarter, this is who I'm calling today or this week, right? Or if this is week 2, here's who I need to make contact with this week. Okay, so those that you connect with the first week of January, you might label week 1. And then we're going to pull those week 1 people again the first week of April, and then again on the first week of July, and again on the first week of October, right? Week 1 would be the first week of each quarter. Or you might tag them monthly. There's 3 months in a quarter. So you might want to contact them by month. So if whoever I make contact with this month might get labeled month 1, and then everybody in my database I connect with in October might get month 2, and then everybody I contact November might get month 3, and then that way I know that when I hit December, I'm pulling up the month 1 again. Okay, so there's lots of options there. We're going to talk later, or you may have heard me talk about like the 555 plan. That one you probably want to tag with a weekly tag. Or instead of tags, you could always use the reminder feature in your database to remind you when to connect with people each quarter instead of using those tags, right? So everybody I contact this week might get set up with a reminder so that I contact them 3 months from now, whatever week that is. Okay, so whatever day that is, we might set that up systematically that way. There's no wrong or right way to do this. The choice is yours. The intention is, though, that we need to be able to find a way to identify who needs to be contacted so that everyone is contacted 1 time per quarter via phone. Okay, this is a phone call. Okay. And then you may also want to tag your database with captured versus connected. This is going to separate out those that you're in relationship with versus those who you just have their contact information. I like to call this the zoo animal versus pet. I don't even know where I came up with this. I must have heard it somewhere. But right, those that are captured are like your open house leads. You've had a conversation with them at an open house, you got their information, or maybe they made a sign call off your listing, right? We've got a way to be in contact with them. We know what their name is. They are captured. They do not know who we are. And when we call them, they don't often respond. They may not respond to a text message. They may not answer our phone calls, right? They don't know who we are. That is captured like a zoo animal. They're in a cage. They only have to interact with us because we've trapped them. Okay. Versus connected. Connected is more like your pet, right? When you call your dog generally comes. And that's how our friends, family, those contacts in our database that are connected. Those people, when we call them, they probably pick up our phone call, or they'll respond, or they'll call us back. Or if we send them a text message, they know who we are and they'll probably respond to that, right? So many options there. So I would tag my people with captured versus connected. You could also tag them with like lead, okay, versus connected, or something like that, right? So a lead would be somebody who is captured. You got their contact information, but they're not in regular interaction with us. So keep in mind, in order to get the return on our database like we're hoping for, we need those numbers in there to be connected numbers. We want the captured people in there because we're going to work to move them to connected. There's plans for that. But our ratio of closings for our database is based on those that we've connected with. All right. The other way that you may want to recommend, or that I would recommend tagging your database, is with maybe how you met that client or where the contact came from, right? Things like open house, maybe a home show, baseball game, community event. Where did that person come from? And you may also want to tag them in groups like past clients, vendors, business owners, referral, right? All of those options as well. Just think about any way that you may want to find somebody in your database or group people together. So you may also want to tag them with their intent. Are they going to be a buyer, a seller, or an investor? Right? Do they are they currently renting? Then they're going to be in your buyer group. And this might be important because we might decide that we want to send them emails specific to preparing to buy a house versus if they own a house, we might want to be sending them emails on, right? We could always like tag them renter or homeowner as well, because if they're a homeowner, we may want to send them emails based on investing or prepping your house for sale or things like that, things that are going to apply to them and help them move forward into your client portal again. Let's see here. Oh, so to recap, right? Tag them VIP or COI, and it could be an and. We want to tag them with captured or connected, where we met them. The groups, right? What their intent is, what their timing is. Are they hot, nurture, or watch? And then with their quarterly call plan. And I promise that's going to make it so much easier for you to go through your database, find the people that you need to connect with, and make sure that no one slips through the cracks, right? And then it's going to allow you also to send out buyer or seller themed emails or information quickly to those in your database. Our goal here is to work smarter, not harder. Okay, and it might be easy when you've only got, 20 people in your database to keep track of people, but as we're talking about growing and getting all those people in your database and meeting more people and adding them in, we're going to start to lose track of people, which is why we want to make sure that we're systematic in how we're managing that database. So let's talk about how to step up your system, right? So in order to get the results that you desire, you have to know what your results are, right? So we talked about digging into your data, right? And after we kind of dig into that, we want to be willing to change what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay. So I would recommend completing a weekly review each and every week of your database. Okay, at first it's going to take a little bit longer, but as you get the hang of it, it's only going to take about 30 minutes per week. Step one is going to be every lead that you haven't connected with on your, is going to make sure that every lead in your database is at least on what we call a 19 to connect plan. Okay. I would also recommend that once per quarter, you'll see what the 19 to connect is here in just a little minute. But then once per quarter, you're going to attempt to reactivate them or get them to respond by putting them on like a 12 to connect plan. Okay. Is every buyer on a property drip? Okay, this should send them listings based on when they're going to buy. If they're pre-approved and searching for a home, they should get a notification as soon as something hits the market. If they aren't yet pre-approved, then they might get like a daily or weekly list of new properties. And if they're in that nurture or watch, then we may want to just send them like a weekly or a monthly update of homes that for sale. Our goal here is that we're hoping that something's going to catch their eye and spur them into action. Okay. Step 3 is everyone who isn't a buyer on a neighborhood update, right? Something that's going to keep them up to date of their current home's value or the activity in the area where they're renting, okay? And then are you contacting the contacts with recent activity? Can you see recent activity? Like in OneSuite, if you're sending out emails, it tells you who opens those emails, or you have them on a property search through OneSuite. It tells you who's opening those emails. It tells you what properties they're clicking on. So if we're looking in there and following up on people who have recent activity, we should be in contact with them. And it may not want to be creepy. Like, I saw you were looking at this property, because they're going to be like, how did you see that? I'm not clicking on those emails anymore. But it may just be a quick phone call of, hey, I know the last time that we talked, you thought you were probably about 18 months out from purchasing. And I just wanted to follow up with you to see how that process was going. Is that still your time frame? right? Something to that effect to just, we can see that they've had some activity. We can see that they're clicking on things and we just want to check in with them. Step 5 is, are they on a quarterly call plan? Step 6 for evaluating your weekly recap is, are all your tasks being done, and are they being done when they're due, or at least before they become overdue? Okay, so make sure that you're keeping track of your tasks with regards to your contacts so that you can make sure that you're getting those done. If any of those pieces are missing, we want to make sure to remedy the issue. Now, again, at the beginning, it's going to take a little bit more time, but as we are moving through our weekly recap, get a month or two in, it's going to take you maybe 30 minutes to do that. All right. So we want to make sure that we create a circle of influence system. Okay. We want to communicate value. We want to fill the database. And we want you to create an interaction plan and personalize those touches along the way. This is going to be key to getting those results from your database. Okay. We want people to buy and sell homes. And it could not be that we want them to sell their existing home. We want them to buy investment properties, or maybe they're interested in flipping, right? And we want them to use you for those transactions. And we also want to be asking for referrals. Okay, right? If we're not asking for referrals, we can't expect to get referrals. I talk to people all the time. I talk with agents and they're like, hey, Amy, I just don't understand how to get referrals. And I'm like, well, are you asking for them? They're like, no. I'm like, why don't we start there? Let's start by asking. You don't get what you don't ask for, right? So we always want to ask. In fact, generally speaking, most of my phone calls, they have somewhere in there like, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? It's not, do you want to buy, sell, or invest? It's who do you know, right? Ask for those referrals. Okay. Your value, right? Your goal here is to become the Google of your main service area. You want to know the local economy. You want to be the real estate expert. And I would hope that you would compile a vendor list, right? For all the services for someone who owns or rents a home may use, and all the community information, right? So we're going to have like your favorite restaurants on there. You're going to have handymen, contractors, window washers, house cleaners, chiropractors, right? Who do you know in the area that's fabulous and amazing? We want to have a vendor list because that's going to add to your value. I promise, because that gives you additional interactions. You've got somebody who just closed on a property. Now, when we're interacting with them and we're making those phone calls once a quarter, and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, we were thinking we wanted to update the bathroom. You can be like, oh, I've got a list of great contractors. Can I send that to you? Right? And now they'll be like, oh, not only did Amy help us buy a house, but she also is the go-to for anything that we need. So the next time they're like, we need a window washer, they're going to be like, ring, ring. Hey, Amy, who do you know who washes windows? Right? Because they're going to know that I am that person. So we want to make sure to have that list. I would also recommend having like a list of parks, dog parks, activities, hikes, right? Add all of that onto some different lists so you can offer value to clients coming to the area, especially if you're working with clients that are often like moving to a new area. That's going to give you the ability to connect with them and give them some knowledge of what's going on in the area. You want to be hyper local and the go-to for all the information in your area. Keep an updated list of upcoming events. When are the concerts in the park? Who has Christmas tree farms, right? Where can we go to go buy a Christmas tree? Where can we go for a pumpkin, right? It's September. Halloween is quickly approaching. So there's different places you can go to for just a pumpkin. There's ones that have like, there's the grandpa's barn or whatever it is with the petting zoo. You've got the one out in Woodland that has like a little roller coaster with it at the pumpkin patch. So you could have a list of all of those items and all those fun things to do for each and every season. We want to update that and send that out to our clients. So be the Google for your area. Any questions on that? I just gave Adriana an
You
idea.
just gave me an idea to reach out to my database with like a list of where they can, do like a pumpkin patch and
Yep.
so forth and so forth.
Yep, pumpkin patch. When does the corn maze open in Dixon, right? And then October passes. Now we're in November, December. Now we could provide that list of where to go for Christmas trees. Super simple there. If you service a large area, okay, like maybe I'm like, oh, well, I sell houses in Solano, Napa, Sacramento, Placerville, right? All these different counties. I may want to be like, okay, well, I live in Solano County, so I'm going to start there. And I'm going to create these items for this area. Once I've got that good and I'm good with sending those out and keeping people updated in that main service area, then you can always expand to the next one, right? Which means that you may also want to tag your database with the county that they live in or your main service area. So it makes it really easy to pull up those people to share that information. All right. Let's see here. Filling your database, right? So think about where you want to service. So maybe you're like, Amy, I know that you said 500 people interacting with on a regular basis gives me 20 transactions. My problem is I only have 50 people in my phone. I just moved here from out of the area and I don't even know where to start. Okay. Number one, if you moved here from out of the area, collect those referrals. So just because your friends and family, people you know, aren't from the area where you currently live, we can still be in contact with them and let them know and find great agents in the areas with where they live and always let them know that, hey, if you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest, I'd be happy to connect them with a professional realtor in the area that's going to take really good care of them, right? Collect those referral fees. Some agents make their money just on referrals. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. But let's think about it here. We just moved the area. Who do we know that isn't already in our database? Who are we missing? And then our next step would be like, who can we connect with where we live to increase those numbers in that database, right? To get them where we need to be to get the return that we want on that database. So one area is connect with local business owners in your service area. Get to know them, get to know who their ideal client is, interview them, create a business-to-business referral relationship. Okay, right? If I'm going to refer people to you, I would expect that you're also going to refer people to me. So create that relationship with those business owners. Remember we talked about that vendor list? Let's say that we're looking for florists to add to our vendor list, right? Let's go have a conversation with that florist. Let's talk with them about creating that business to business relationship and having it a mutually beneficial relationship, right? If I'm going to refer people to you, are you willing to refer people to me? Can I leave cards in your shop, right? Can I put a flyer up? What does that look like? And then, like I said, you may want to interview them and post it on social media. Maybe you've got a newsletter that you send out on a monthly basis and you're going to feature a business or two each month in that newsletter, right? Let them know, hey, I've got a database of 250 people. I'm working on growing it, but I'm going to get your business in front of all of those people. In return, here's what I would like. Can you just once a year make sure that you refer somebody to me that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate just once a year? Right? If we have relationships with 20 businesses and we've asked them all to just refer one person to us and we're checking in with them on a regular basis, that would be 20 potential transactions, right? Just by creating those business relationships, probably with businesses we already do business with. Okay, we want to make sure to put all these people in your database or your CRM. If you're like, Amy, what's a CRM stand for? Your database is a CRM. It's a contact relationship manager. You're probably going to connect with or communicate differently with those people in your main service area than those outside your service area. So again, we may want to tag them with where they reside. If it's a different state, if it's a different county, whatever that might be, we may want to just keep track of that. All right. Next, we're going to reach out with everyone once per quarter in addition to the quarterly phone call. Okay, this is people in our COI or our circle of influence. Okay, the interaction should be personal. This should not be an automated interaction. It could be a text message. It could be a social media direct message, Or for the most impact, send them a handwritten note in the mail, right? I mean, how cool is it when you go to the mailbox and open your mailbox and you actually get like real good personal mail in there instead of bills and junk? Okay. The interaction should not be business in nature. It should just be about building relationship. Okay. This does not mean that you can't have your logo on the note or that you can't include a card, but the message itself shouldn't be business in nature. And that's going to be whether you choose a handwritten card, text, or direct to message. This interaction is just going to level up your touch plan. Okay. So everybody that we contact, that's in our circle of influence, we want to have that quarterly phone call, or once every 3 months, we want to make a phone call to them. But then one other time during that quarter, we want to do something fun and special. Now, that might mean that you're scrolling their social media. Maybe you've got a check off list so that you know who needs a handwritten note this quarter. And maybe once a week you're scrolling through social media or something, looking for something that's happened. Maybe a dog had passed away, maybe a child got married, maybe they moved, whatever it might be, right? We want to send them that handwritten note or card or something. Okay. Build relationship. Okay. Now, in order to get that conversion ratio that we talked about, right? It's not just going to be a quarterly phone call and one bonus item like we're going to do to our circle of influence. Okay. We want to interact with everybody in our database that we're connected with in a systematic way. Okay. Statistics show that we should interact with our database a minimum of 36 times per year, and more is better. So everyone in our database that we're connected with, those pets, right? Those pet dogs that know who we are, that when our name pops up on their phone, they're like, "Oh, I know Amy," right? They know us. They should be getting a quarterly phone call. There's nothing that replaces a quarterly phone call. You can try other interactions. It's just not going to yield the same results. Because remember, the goal here is relationship and asking for referrals. Okay. In addition, they should get 24 emails per year. Okay. 24 emails per year. I would recommend a monthly newsletter once a month and then a monthly neighborhood update. Okay, something that's keeping them up to date of what's going on in their neighborhood or area. So either a neighborhood update or a property search. So newsletter and a monthly update. That's what I would recommend. I would stagger those so that they get one at like the beginning of the month and one in the middle of the month. Okay, and make it systematic. So the newsletter always goes out on the first of the month and neighborhood update always goes out mid-month, right? Whatever that might be. Okay, it's best to invite them to 2 events. Okay, keep in mind when you look at 36 interactions and it says 2 events, it's just listed as 2 interactions. But you can incorporate this into calls and mailers as well. So you're going to call to invite them to an event. You're going to call to say thanks for coming or wish you could have been there. You might send them reminder text messages about the event, right? These are all going to be bonus interactions. Okay. The point of the event is actually not even for them to show up at the event. It's the interactions. If you're like, Amy, what would be an event? It could be happy hour. You could be like, hey, every Friday afternoon, I'm going to go do happy hour at Merchant in Maine, and I'm going to invite 5 people to join me at happy hour, right? You don't have to invite your entire database to one thing. We can just divide it up by the number of Fridays we're going to go spend at happy hour. It might be National Night Out. That just came and went back in August. We actually had National Night Out here in the middle of nowhere in the boonies. It was quite fun. We all got together. So you could host National Night Out at the park in your neighborhood or pick a park somewhere in, maybe you've got a farm or a place where a lot of your clients have purchased, right? Pick that park, host National Night Out. It's almost, you could make it like free, right? It could cost you nothing to host people to come to National Night Out. It could be that you intend to do like a Friendsgiving, or maybe you're going to do like, I don't know, a s'mores bar, right? Where they can come swing into the office and make s'mores. Maybe it could be like pie day. They can come by and pick up a pie, or for Thanksgiving, right? So many opportunities where you can make it events where you're either going and like renting a movie theater and going out all extravagant where people are coming to one place, or they could just be coming to the office, or like something like a happy hour, right? So there's no wrong or right way to do that. The goal though is that we invite them to 2 events per year. In addition to that, send out 2 cards. They can be for anything, but I would recommend the birthday card and a home anniversary card. Okay, and then you want to do 4 pop buys or items in the mail. A pop buy would be an item delivered to their doorstep versus in their mailbox. For your circle of influence and your VIP, I would recommend pop buys, something dropped off on their doorstep. Okay, for the rest of your database that you're connected with, but they aren't part of that VIP or COI group, those items could be mailed. Okay, for the mailer, it could be something like a yearly fridge magnet. Maybe once a year, if they closed on a house last year, they're going to get in January a copy of their closing statement. Maybe once a year, you're sending out a comparative market analysis, right, of their current property, so they are kept up to date of the estimated value. Or maybe you're sending them additional holiday cards. Okay, if it were me and I were picking holiday cards, I would pick random holidays. Maybe they got a groundhog card from you or a happy Labor Day card, right? Something throughout the year. I'm not a big fan of Christmas cards, only because everybody sends out Christmas cards, not because I don't like getting them. You're welcome to send me Christmas cards. I really like getting Christmas cards, but they get lost in the bundle of Christmas cards. I get a whole bunch of Christmas cards every year for Christmas, so be the one that stands out and pick random holidays where they're not getting other things. Okay, so we covered, right, those 36 interactions. Now let's talk about how to take it to the next level. So add in those 4 personalized interactions that we talked about earlier, right? So for your VIP in your COI group, add in that note in the mail 1 time per quarter. Get something in the mail to them. In addition to the phone call that's part of the 36 interactions, you could add in 4 text messages and 4 social media interactions. Okay. I would work this in with the call, right, month. So if I call them this month, then maybe next month I interact with them on social media, and then the next month I'm going to send them a text message. Okay, and it can even be an automated text message, right? If they live near you or in your service area, it could be something like, hey, I was in your neighborhood showing property and I passed by your house. How are you doing? Right? We're asking for a response. It's not asking for a yes or no. And it's reminding them that we do real estate. I was in the neighborhood showing properties and I passed by your house. How are you doing? Right? So I would work those in. So if I'm calling people this month, the next month they get a social media interaction, the next month they get a text message, and then we repeat that with each month. Okay. If you want to step it up, you could step up the events by going from 2 to 5 events. Okay. Again, maybe if you're doing 2 big events like National Night Out and renting a theater, maybe then you add in some happy hours or a fall festival or a trunk or treat or something similar to that, right? You could even get together with other agents from our office or your vendor partners, right, to host like a trunk or treat. Do something that makes it fun. Pay attention to what your contacts have going on in their lives. Watch their social media and send out cards for major life events, things like deaths in the family, new pets, lost pets, marriages, childbirth, right? And more. Don't hesitate to celebrate with your clients or mourn with your clients, right? Reach out, good or bad. And if you find some charities or community events to support, it gives you a couple of additional interactions and you get to promote that charity or help the community. So that's another way to just step up those interactions, is to capitalize on something else. Okay, if we want to give our clients the wow factor or create an experience, we need to think beyond the normal. So we need to interact with them and bring them unique interaction opportunities that are going to knock their socks off. So some ideas of fun events and pop buys that you can do to stand out are, let's see here, right? You could do logo leaf bags in the fall. We're coming up on that. Leaves are going to start falling off trees. We can make sure that we send out logo leaf bags to collect those leaves. Maybe spring home photos. You could do golf, bowling, or like a pickleball tournament. You could do a shredding party. You could do junk removal, right? Junk removal might be a good one right after you could do like a community yard sale or something, right? You could offer things like gutter cleaning, window cleaning. You could send, ice cream truck, a block party, charity drives, pie giveaway, Santa, Grinch, Easter bunny photos, an Easter egg hunt, movie nights, seminars like first time home buyers or moving up or purchasing investment property seminars. You could do wine tours. You could do Zoom events. You could do concerts, raffles, pet photos, sports brackets, right? Pumpkin patch, DIY classes, yoga, Christmas lights tour. There's just so many opportunities where you can kind of think outside the norm, like apple picking, game night, pet adoption, chili cook-offs, right? Blood drives. So many fun things. You could do like a lawn care giveaway, right? You don't have to for like the window cleaning, you don't have to pay for everybody's windows to be cleaned, but maybe there's a drawing they can enter into for that window cleaning, right? So many fun things. Um, remember here too that your goal is to create an experience. So make sure that you answer your phone, right? It's often like I'm calling realtors trying to find somebody to refer somebody to, and only a small fraction of them actually answer their phone. So make sure that you answer your phone. Be professional, right? Your language, your attire, the way that you communicate should ooze professional, and make sure to go above and beyond. If someone needs something, figure out how to take it a step further and do the extra. Under promise and over deliver. And then let's see here. I'm going to skip that for now, only because I'm butting my head up on 10 o'clock. Ford sandwich. Okay. Anytime we have a conversation with people, we want to think Ford sandwich, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. That's where we're going to build that relationship. We don't have to ask them about all four areas, but when we pick up that phone to call somebody, it's going to be, hey, how was your family? Hey, last time we talked, I knew you were looking for a new job. Whatever happened with that? Or last time we talked, I know that you were getting ready to go on vacation. Where did you end up going? How was your vacation, right? We want to have those conversations with our client. We want to build relationship with them and make them feel like and actually care about our clients. I like to tackle all my weekly calls with what I call a three-step approach. Okay. And this might be that you're going to make phone calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It doesn't matter. It could be any 3 days. I'm going to take my call list for the week. So I'm going to go to my database. I'm going to sort, hey, where are my week 1 phone calls? Everyone who's on that week 1 is going to get a phone call from me today. Okay. Those who don't answer, I'm going to leave a phone message for them. Something like, hey, it's Amy. I was just looking to touch base with you. I'll try you later this week. Right. I'm priming them. I'm not really asking them to call me back. I'm just priming them that I'll call them again. Day 2, when I go to call all the people that I didn't get on day 1, I'm going to call them again. And I'm going to, if they still don't answer, I'm going to send them a text message similar to what I left on their day 1 message, but this is going to be via text instead of a phone message. Something like, hey, it's Amy. I just wanted to touch base. I'll try you later this week. Right? Again, I'm not really trying to engage in a text message conversation. I want them to answer my phone call. Day 3, I'm calling all the people that I still haven't talked to. If they don't answer, I'm going to leave a voicemail message along with a similar text. Okay, something like, hey, it's Amy. I'm sorry we weren't able to connect this week. Please reach out if you have any real estate related questions or if you have any needs. Have a great weekend, right? Something super simple there, 3-attempt approach. Then I'm done with those people for the week. Next week, I'm moving on to the new list of people for week 2. And that's how I get through my call list every 13 weeks. It's not so much about making connections, although I find that when I do this 3-attempt approach, I go from like about a 25% answer rate to about an 80% answer rate. So I make a lot more connections doing the 3-attempt approach. Let's see here. All right, last thing here, your VIP group, make people feel special, right? So remember, our VIP people are cheerleaders. Okay. I would limit it to maybe a max of 50. You may even want to start closer to like 20. Like, who are your top cheerleaders? And then the goal here is like you want to put people in this group that are going to give you a minimum of 1 referral per year, ideally 2. Okay. So you want to choose your members wisely because these are going to be your cheerleaders and these are going to be people that you want to be in deeper relationship with. Okay. They might be community leaders. They could be friends. They could be family. They could be other business owners. They could be past clients. Okay. Keep the group small and let them know that they're in your elite VIP group. And then also make sure they provide value. Those people in your VIP group are going to get maybe a monthly phone call instead of just a quarterly phone call. You're going to make it relationship based and let it lead to real estate and always have like a market moment to share like, hey, rates are down 0.75% since last month, right? Something quick and easy. You should do a quarterly sit down with them, coffee, lunch, play date, some sort of face-to-face interaction with them quarterly. And then maybe run something like a quarterly happy hour where you invite them to the same place, the same time on the same day of the week, so that you get people attending. Okay, personally call them on their birthday and send them a personalized gift, right? Some agents also have turned this into really fun, kind of like a boxed gift thing where they get like once a month or twice a year or once a year, they get like a fun box of stuff saying that they've made it to the VIP group. Okay, let them know what has to happen to stay in that group. And then I would host a couple of events just for your VIP group. One like a large scale event, like a New Year's party or a Friendsgiving, right? Something big and fun. Select a theme and make them want to come. And the second may be a party with a purpose, right? Like host your own to support a charity or find out what other galas are in your community, like crab feeds or the Christmas tree auction at Christmas time, right? Whatever that might be. Buy a table at that and invite them to come fill the table. The first 8 to RSVP get a spot, right? And then maybe they don't get invited to the next one so that others have the opportunity. The touches here are designed to make sure that you're getting referrals. You're creating experiences that make them want to stay in the group. And the way to stay in the group is to send you referrals. When we want to make sure we reevaluate who's in this group often, look at your list. Are they taking your calls? Are they sending you referrals? Are they joining in the events? If they aren't participating, remove and replace. So there are my thoughts on how to level up your database game. Now, if I know we touched on the 19 to connect plan for those people that are captured in your database that we were not connected with, we're not in relationship with them. Search my YouTube channel for 19 to connect. You will find that interaction. It's similar to the 36, but it's a lot less interactions. And our goal is to get them to start interacting with us. In fact, we will be touching on that in the lead gen class. So I think next week we have lead gen basics. During that lead gen, we will touch on the different interaction plans for those leads once we start interacting with them or trying to get them to interact with us. We'll be covering those later on. So watch for that. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up today? All right, fabulous. As always, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. We will be back next week. Same time, same place, same Zoom link. We'll see you next week.